Hello, and welcome to my channel, The Art of Reading. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favorite books from last year that I think you should definitely check out this year. Even though we're already a good way into the new year, I really loved all these books and still wanted to share them with you all. I have narrowed it down to 5, but before I get into those, I do have one honorable mention I would like to share, and that is The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. It is a historical fiction set in Spain 1957 in the midst of the dictatorship, and it follows 2 young adults navigating family, love, and secrets. There is nothing in it that I didn't love, and I can tell you for a fact that it won't be the last book I read by that author. Coming in at number 5 is another historical fiction and also the only middle grade book on my list, and that is Amber and Clay by Laura Amy Schlitz. Set in ancient Greece, it tells the story of 2 kids, one a Thracian slave named Brascus and the other girl named Mellisto, daughter of a rich aristocrat. Both have their own unique journeys through the book, but in the end their lives collide in such an incredible way. This book was unique because it blended 3 different styles of writing. The first read like a play script, then Mellisto's were told in verse, while finally Rascus's were in prose. In the past, I have struggled with reading novels in verse, but all 3 narratives were woven together so seamlessly, and overall it was such a beautiful story. And even though it is a middle grade novel, I would recommend it to any age because it's just one of those books that you can't stick a label on. Number 4 is My Brother's Spare by Shir Behor, and this was probably the book that surprised me most from last year. I picked it up on a whim from NetGalley, which is a website that allows you to read books that haven't come out yet in exchange for an honest review. And I didn't really know what to expect from this one, but I ended up loving it. The author is only 19, and this is her debut novel, so I'm really trying to spread the word on this one, and I will also leave her YouTube channel linked in the description below if you'd like to go check it out. It's about a girl named Valeria who is haunted by the murder of her mother. The killer was never found, and now, almost a decade later, her father and brother have finally given up the search. Valeria isn't ready to quit, and her hunt eventually leads her to the infamous hitman Elias Black. Lying to her family by day and searching for clues with Elias by night, she soon finds herself in the midst of some of the city's darkest secrets. Next up is Luck of the Titanic by Stacey Lee, and I honestly could not have discovered this book at a more perfect time. I had become obsessed with the history of the Titanic, and at the time was also taking a course on American immigration when I found out that the author, whose previous book Outrun the Moon is another favorite of mine, was going to be releasing a book that featured both of those things. The main character, Valora, dreams of becoming a circus performer and has secured herself a spot on what they're calling the biggest ocean liner in the world, bound for America. When she arrives to board the ship, she is shocked when she is turned away due to the fact that Americans are not letting Chinese people into their country. Never the one to be deterred, however, Valora sneaks onto the ship where she is reunited with her brother Jamie, who has been working on board for 2 years now. Valora is determined for the 2 of them to make it into America together, but before they arrive, disaster strikes and all of her carefully crafted plans crumble. I think that the best and worst thing about this book was how easy it was to forget that it was set aboard the Titanic, because for anyone who knows that history, all the good times eventually come to an end. It was a very bittersweet ending, more bitter than sweet, I would say, but overall I really, really loved this book. Number 2 is actually one that I have mentioned on my channel before, and that is The Winter Garden by Alexandra Bell. I am so glad that this book was chosen to be a part of Book Box Club, which is a book subscription box that I get, because I honestly don't know whether I would have picked it up on my own, and I can't imagine not reading it because I just loved it so much. We follow a girl named Beatrice who, on the night her mother died when she was 8 years old, discovers the mysterious winter garden where she spends one joy-filled week. But after that, the garden disappears and no one will believe her story. 18 years later, Beatrice is tired of meeting everyone else's expectations at the expense of her own happiness, and so decides to throw it all off and search for the garden from her childhood. But then both Beatrice and her best friend Rosa receive invitations to create the most spectacular pleasure garden, with the prize being one wish. Both girls are in desperate need of the prize, and the tension between them continues to mount, but ultimately there can only be one winner. And at number 1, and the best book I read last year, we have A Song of Race and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. This book blew me away. The world building was awesome, the plot was crazy, and I just loved the characters so much. A little background on the story: Malik and his 2 sisters have fled their war-torn home for the prosperous city of Zirin. But upon their arrival, Malik's little sister Nadia is taken as payment for entering the city. He is then told that the only way to get her back is to kill the princess of Zirin, Karina. Meanwhile, Karina's mother has just been assassinated, but she is left with no time to dwell on her grief. Her court is on the verge of mutiny, and the festival Solstice, which takes place every 50 years, is now entirely her responsibility. Desperate to bring her mother back, Karina discovers an ancient spell of resurrection. The only thing she's missing is the heart of a king. When the pair's lives collide, their tasks become even more impossible than either could have imagined. I know that the sequel to this one is out now, A Psalm of Storms and Silence, but I'm honestly a little scared to read it because I don't know how it could live up to this one. I definitely need to do it though, and hopefully I will get that done sooner rather than later. So that is all the books I have to share for today. I hope you found at least one to go check out and add to your TBR for this year. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!